Thank you for joining us. My name is Christy Galley. I am the program manager for the CDBG program. I'm also the compliance area lead for acquisition and procurement. Today, we're going to be talking about general federal grant procurement requirements. This is specifically for our CDBG program, which our application is due on November 21st. We had our application workshop last week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I hope you were able to catch it. There was a small snippet of procurement within that because you'll need to secure your engineering firm and your administrative consulting firm prior to submitting the application. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the regulations and guidance for federal procurement are under the Federal Uniform Administrative Requirement. For procurement, it's 24 CFR 85.36 prior to 2015. And then in 2015, it changed to 2 CFR Part 200, Subpart D. That started in 2015. HUD has some supplemental guides for procurement that are available. It's the HUD Handbook 7460, 2007, HUD Handbook Buy and Write in 2017, and then Federal Acquisition Regulations, Title 48 CFR. Before I go on, let me just do some quick little housekeeping. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. We will get to them after the presentation. There's a Q&A box or a chat screen. Either one is fine. So just put your questions there, or you can wait till the end and you can ask them live. So general requirements. So the general procurement standards, the grantees and recipients of federal assistance, the non-federal entity, existing procurement policies and procedures must be in conformance with the federal regulations found at 2 CFR Part 200 Subpart D, and the federal procurement guidance as provided by the different federal agencies. So for HUD, this would be the HUD Handbook 7460. So the solicitation. So the purpose of the solicitation is to encourage free and open competition. And in order to ensure objective contractor performance and eliminate unfair competitive advantage, contractors that develop or draft specifications, requirements, statements of work, or invitations for bid or request for proposals must be excluded from competing for such procurements. So that means if you have your administrative consultant that you've used in the past, or your engineering firm that you've used in the past, help you with your RFP or RFQ, they are disqualified from submitting a proposal for that particular item or job. So the purpose of the solicitation is to achieve effective competition, which is the receipt of 2 or more responsive bids, proposals, or offers in response to the solicitation. So if you direct solicit 10 people for a particular RFP, if you have 1 response for a proposal and 2 responses that say, we are not interested at this time, those 2 basically non-responses do not qualify as an actual response to the RFP. So all solicitations must provide adequate and realistic product descriptions, specifications, and/or scopes of work. Descriptions, specifications, or scope must be sufficient in detail to provide all vendors, proposers, or offerers enough information to accurately estimate the work and effort and resources needed to make an effective bid, offer, or proposal. It has to be adequately publicized, and media can be utilized. And when I say media, that is newspaper, social media, etc. So the time period for solicitation, It must run for a period sufficient to achieve effective competition, which in this case would be at least 2 bids. So the grantees are encouraged to give ample time for the RFP to circulate and proponents to assemble their submission. An RFP that anticipates more detailed, collaborative, and lengthy proposals need to make sure that they allow sufficient time for the solicitation, for the people responding to the solicitation to pull together the information to submit. So the publicizing requirement. So media utilized. So RFPs and RFQs must be publicized to solicit an adequate number of qualified offerers. It should be dictated by the market area that constitutes the area. So an adequate number of qualified offers or appropriate number of qualified firms, given the nature and size of the project to compete for the contract. It may require more than one MSA, direct solicitation, and using commercial procurement website. So neither state nor federal requirements limit further distribution or other media utilized to achieve effective competition. So the components, I'm gonna go back real quick. So when you do submit your solicitation, our office needs to review it and approve it prior to you publicizing it. It doesn't take that long for us to review it and get it back to you. You can put it on your Facebook page. We encourage, Facebook is a free media, free advertising really for your towns and villages, etc. So even if it's something that you don't necessarily, you don't have to pay for it. So I suggest you set up a Facebook page for your town or village or city. And you can publicize things like this on there. You can publicize different events, whatever, but Facebook works for solicitation. Some of these, some of the areas that we work in only have weekly newspapers that run. So you're going to need to find a bigger area, like in Baton Rouge, let's say, someone in East Feliciana or West Feliciana, they have a one a week publication. Well, Baton Rouge is close enough for them to submit something to the advocate, and they would be able to cast a wider net and hopefully get more responses to their particular job. You also need to direct solicit up to 10 or at least 10 firms for each RFP in order to hopefully get the number of responses you need. Okay. So now we're going to quickly go over the components of requests for proposals and requests for qualifications. So what is the difference between an RFP and an RFQ? A request for proposal is for professional services and includes administrative consulting firms when price is a factor in the selection process. Request for qualifications is for engineering or architectural services. Louisiana state law, RS 382318.1a, prohibits price or price-related considerations as a selection factor. Qualification statements cannot be used to procure any other service. So just engineering and architectural firms may be procured for administrative services, but the RFP procedure must be utilized to procure administrative services. Competitive proposals is a formal method of procurement that provides for the evaluation and selection of offerers/proposers on the basis of technical factors or qualitative or non-cost factors other than just price. The lowest price may not necessarily be the best value. This permits trade-off among cost or price and other non-cost factors. So here's the format for the competitive proposals. So and you can use this format for both RFPs and RFQs. We have this in a handout. If you want a copy of it, I'm happy to send it to you. So the first is the purpose of the procurement, which explains why the unit of general local government is issuing the proposal. The objective explains what this purchase, acquisition, or procurement is seeking to obtain. The background of the issuer is to provide information on the unit of general local government and pertinent information on the project. Definitions. This is where you would identify any items that are particular to the procurement. This is optional. The project description is to provide sufficient information for the proposers to estimate the work efforts and time needed to accomplish the tasks. The schedule of events. You need to outline the significant events and dates surrounding the procurement. The scope of services. You need to identify the tasks and or accomplishments that the contractor will be performing. So here they are in a little bit more detail. And then contracts and payment. This identifies the type of contract and type of prices that will be utilized in the contract. Fixed price, cost reimbursement, and time and materials. So component for competitive proposals, contracts, and payments. So fixed price, the delivery of products and services at a specified price, fixed at the time of contract and not subject to any adjustment on the basis of contractor's cost experience in performing the contract. It was appropriate for use when definite performance specifications are available. So let's just say that the village is going to utilize their full-time staff to administer the project, but they want to procure someone to do the environmental review record. That would be a fixed price contract because it would be, $7,000 for the RFP, and the deliverable would be the RFP. It is exact, it is precise. So cost reimbursement, which is going to be the majority, if not all, of our contract types. This is when the delivery of the product or service is at a specified price, fixed at the time of contract award, and not subject to any adjustment on the basis of the contractor's cost experience in performing the contract. This would be, so the construction company sends you a bill or an invoice that is finite, and you can go ahead and, that is sent to the engineer typically, and the engineer typically puts it together with their fees, etc. That is cost reimbursement. Time and materials we don't really use in this particular project, but this would be direct labor hours at a specific hourly rate that includes wages, overhead, general administrative expenses, and profit. Materials at cost, including, if appropriate, material handling costs as part of material costs. So the components for competitive proposals, the proposer's information. So you're going to need the proposer to identify certain things about them so you could learn who they are, which would include the firm's background, their qualifications, any general experience that they have, in particular, I guess, with the CDBG program, references and certain assurances or stipulations. It can also include information that may not be competitively scored or evaluated. The selection process identifies how and who will be conducting the evaluation, whether it's a one-step or a two-step process, and if it includes interviews. The price and cost identifies how much weight and cost is required for the procurement except for design professionals. So this would be for the RFP for the administrative consulting firms, not the RFQ for the engineering or architectural firms. And then the submission requirements. They need to know what they need to provide to you for this request. So you need to request all pertinent information that you need where it's not elsewhere stated, so they can properly address what your needs are. And Denise McGee is going to take over from here with the evaluation criteria. Denise, you need to unmute yourself.
My bad. Good morning, everyone. Evaluation criteria should represent the key areas of importance and emphasis to be considered in the score selection decision. It also needs to support meaningful comparison and discrimination between and among competing proposals. Some criteria can represent key areas of importance to the selection, but may not provide meaningful comparison and discrimination among competing proposals. Example of this would be proposals all have similar experience or qualifications and therefore receive the same score. So that's why we have thresholds. A threshold criteria establishes key areas of importance as a minimum to compete, but are not further evaluated or scored, but may not provide meaningful comparison. And a weighted evaluation criteria is used for criteria that can provide meaningful comparison among competing proposals. We have a threshold example would be they have to have administered at least 5 LCDBG projects within the last 5 or 3 years. That'll be a good threshold because you probably have a couple of your respondents that have administered CDBG projects. So that's the minimum they have to have in order to even submit a proposal to you. And here are the evaluation subjects, qualifications, experience, capabilities, past performance, and approach plan. These are the different evaluation areas that you can use for evaluating your proposals. Qualifications determines what the proposal is qualified to do. An example of that would be academic achievement, personnel experience. So experience, what has the proposal actually done? Firms' previous comparable projects by the type of projects and the size and number will be a good way to measure this, something good that you can ask for. These are things that you can request. So capabilities, what can the proposer do? What personnel and their qualifications or specialties are available? Past performance, how well has the proposer done comparable work? Quantifiable measures proposer has performed previously. An approach plan, that is the objective, project description, and scope of services all aligned. Proposals are asked for their recommendations on how to accomplish the objective implied in the program description. And here are the advantages and disadvantages of each evaluation subject. So qualifications and experience, both are easy to use. You don't have to get as much information and review as much information with any these two evaluations. Capabilities can provide meaningful discrimination, and also it can apply quantitative analysis and comparison. Past performance and approach plan both provide meaningful discrimination upon proposals. I will say past performance and approach plan both require a lot of upfront work for the municipality. And the disadvantages? So with qualifications and experience, they're both not useful as far as distinguishing, discriminating, or distinguishing factors that don't provide meaningful impact for the project. Capabilities is difficult to use for a threshold, but it's great for using in your evaluation. Like I said before, past performance and approach plan requires extensive data gathering, requires subjective evaluation and extensive writing evaluation plans, and requires multiple person evaluations to check bias. Competitive proposals permits trade-off among cost or price and other non-cost factors. So if price and cost is weighted more, then your qualitative factors will not have such a high percentage. If you need more value from your qualitative subjects, then price and cost will be less weighted. An example of this, as you can see, qualifications and experience, 25% to 20% is the less qualitative subject, but price is 75 to 80%, which gives you more weight. If you want to, this is mainly used for like admin, because price is a evaluation criteria for admin. But when you get to, you want more qualitative subjects, which is the qualifications, experience, capabilities, and maybe doing an approach plan or past performance, and cost weighs less, this is more geared towards your engineering contracts because you cannot use cost as a rating factor. And this is just another breakdown of how when you add in different evaluation subjects, how each percentage adjusts based on what you add to your evaluation plan. As you can see, you can even use qualifications or experience or capabilities as a threshold when other factors are in a higher percentage. So creating an evaluation plan, you must have a written method for conducting technical evaluations of the proposal. Every selected rating factor must have all these components addressed, written in the procurement file. They do not need to be contained in the solicitation. So we just went over qualifications, experience, capabilities, approach plan, and past performance. These are all your different rating factors. So for each component, you need to have a plan on how to rate each subject. So for the rated subject, you need to evaluate, you need to identify which one you're going to evaluate. Identify the items you want to be evaluated. Explain the reason the factor is relevant to this contractor selection. Identify the items proposals must submit for factor evaluation, and explain how these items will be evaluated. And now we're going to discuss scoring methods. Comparative point scale. This this scoring method uses proposal with the highest raw score, and they set the scale. Can be used in all scoring situations. Provides for a precise comparative measurement of the evaluated items amongst the proposals. So with the comparative point scale, the highest score sets the scale for each section, for each evaluation factor, not for the overall scoring. Ordinal ranking to be used when it's quick but less precise or detailed scores required. That's the 1, 2, 3. Grouping point scale to be used when cost is the most significant other scoring factor, and is used to highlight a significant qualitative difference between proposals. A higher cost proposal may be better value because it scores substantially better with qualitative measures. Should not be used unless cost is heavily weighted. Weighted point system to be used when some components of the evaluated items are more important than others and are scored accordingly. Adjectival rating systems. Adjectival rating systems must have clearly defined criteria that distinguish one rating objective from another. The solicitation must clearly describe the materials to be submitted for evaluation. And sorry, I lost my place. Adjectival rating systems will always have a subjective cast to them. The evaluation team needs 3 or more reviewers to even out the bias. So adjectival rating system, that is the very good, very likely, those type of ratings, and you have to have a definition for each rating, which can be a little time consuming in the beginning because you have to, depending on how many options that you have for that scoring, you need to have a definition for each one. And now we're going to go over a little exercise showing you how to just fill out a basic RFP. Just an example. So this RFP is for an admin consultant. And the purpose is the Village of Jazztown is accepting proposals for administrative consultants to put together an LCDBG application. The objective, the Village of Jazztown is accepting proposals for consultants for management and administrative services required by the village for the administration implementation of the LCDBG Public Facilities Program. Background. The village is an unincorporated municipality in the southeastern part of the state. The population, according to the 2010 census, is 748 people. The total number of full-time and part-time employment for the village is 3. The village has 5 elected officials, including the mayor, chief of police, and 3 aldermen. Village is an eligible applicant under the FY 2021 LCDBG Public Facilities Program. The village owns and operates a water system consisting of 748 residential customers. So the project description, the type of project involved is to provide management and administrative services to keep the village of Jackstown in compliance with all federal, state, and local standards for the design and construction of a water well system, including but not limited to maintaining program files, updating policies regarding equal opportunity, construction compliance, and financial management. The schedule of events. So we're going to be publicizing this RFP December 3rd, 10th, and 17th. The final date for any inquiries or clarifications will be December 30th. The initial submittal deadline is January 3rd. The extended deadline will be January 17th. The estimated contractor selection will be January 26th. And the LCDBG application deadline is February 1st. And so a reminder for this is to make sure that you post this in your newspaper or social media, wherever you're using for publication, for a minimum of 14 days to ensure adequate competition. And make sure that you're also, if you're in a small town, you're using the largest paper near you so that you can get more coverage for your solicitation. Scope of services. The services to be provided will include, but not limited to, assist the village in setting up and maintaining their general LCDBG program files in accordance with the requirements of 24 CFR 570.490B and the requirements of Part A of the 2021 LCDBG program handbook. Assist the village in reviewing and updating and as appropriate their policies regarding equal opportunity in accordance with 24 CFR 570.602 and the requirements of Part A of the current LCDBG handbook. Prepare the appropriate level of environmental clearance in accordance with the regulations of 24 CFR Part 58 and the requirements of Part A of the 2021 handbook. Contract and payment. The intent of the village is to award a cost reimbursement contract. The contract ceiling amount of program implementation reimbursable costs that can be paid for implementation with the LCDB funds will be determined by the state and may require adjustments in a proposed contract amount. The ceiling amount will be based upon information provided by proposals offerers, cost reasonableness form. Billing and payment terms shall be negotiated with the successful proposer. All invoices shall be accompanied by an accounting of hours worked by whom at the hourly rate, along with the description of work or task performed that has been completed at the time of invoice submission. No advance payment shall be made. And right here, this is an excerpt from our website. The link is below. And where the arrows are, you see that is our engineering cost reasonableness form and our administrative cost reasonableness form that you can use for your RFP and your RFQ. So here are our threshold requirements: a minimum of 5 years experience with LCDBG programs, and you must have administered at least 5 LCDB projects in the last 5 years. And threshold requirements are not used to be scored as a scoring criteria because most of all proposals have this already. So we're going to use this as a threshold, a minimum, for them to be able to submit a response. So here are 2 of our scoring factors. So we're going to use experience. Proposal will submit documentation to exhibit the proposal's project experience. The proposer shall also submit documentation showing his or her work on similar types of LCDBG projects and the firm's total cumulative experience with the LCDBG program administration. Excuse me. Capabilities. Proposer will submit documentation stating the number of different personnel performing specific project functions. Proposers will identify how which personnel will perform the following functions: project manager, environmental specialist, labor specialist, financial controller / accountant, contract specialist, civil rights or Section 3 specialist, and clerical. Number of non-routine specialty areas the firm has performed in the last 3 years and the average number of years that the firm maintains its employees. And this is the submission. So we will need a cover letter. Proposals must submit a cover letter signed by an authorized representative of the entity committed proposal to provide the services as described in this RFP in accordance with the terms and conditions of any contract award pursuant to the RFP process. The cover letter must include the location, the contact person, and the authorized submittal. You also can put on here if you want more copies, like some people may want, they want 2 copies of the RFP or the RFQ submitted, the response submitted. They also may say they want a copy and a flash drive. So you can put all the requirements that you want for your for their response here. It doesn't have to be as simple as this. You can ask for more stuff or you can ask for less. So since we have our RFP in place, we know our evaluation criteria that we're using, we have to now have an evaluation plan. So this is our evaluation plan for capabilities. We want to measure the size of staff by skill level. The evaluation criteria is the personnel by job specialty and number. The rating factor assumes larger workforce available will be more responsive and timely in contract performance. This is why we're using this one, because we want to make sure that we get someone with enough personnel to be able to complete the project in a timely manner. Submission requirements, proposers will submit the job titles required for the project and the number of these employed in the job titles. That is what they're going to turn into you. You want to see job titles for the project and the number of those employees in those job titles that will be working on your project. And an evaluation basis scored by job positions and number of incumbents by the job title on a comparative point scale. So this is just showing you how it breaks down with the percentage. So we have our qualifications and our experience at the top. Capabilities has a nice size space, and then we have cost, which is important for a RFP. And here is say we have our, they submitted their stuff, and this is our scoring for the comparative point scale. And this is the list of the employees that they have and how many they have per employee. So they have project manager. Each 2 people submitted a response. So each one of them both have a project manager. Proposer A has 2 labor specialists, as proposal B only has 1. Proposal A has 5 compliance area specialists. Proposal B only has 2. Proposal A has 4 financial specialists. Proposal B only has 2. Proposal A has 4 clerical. Proposal B only has 1. And then contract specialist. Proposal A has 3 and proposal B only has 1. So we compose all those scores, and proposal A has 19, proposal B has 8. It looks like we already know who has the best score, but we still have to do a little additional math. So in the end, since our evaluation criteria was I think it was a little different in the presentation, but for this one, our points that we wanted to award for capabilities is 30 points. So proposal A automatically gets 30 points because they have the highest score. And then we will then use the math to figure out the score for proposal B, which is 12.6. Do you have any questions? And this also concludes our presentation. But we're open for questions, and then we will have our contact information, which is Christy Galley. She was in the beginning. She's our program manager, myself, Denise McGee, and William Hall. We're always here to help. You can always email us or call us, and we'll be able to assist you. If you can't remember everyone, if you contact one of us, we all will be available to help you. We always work together with these projects.
Okay, I do want to touch on a couple of things. One thing, you don't have to go through this process if you are using local funds. And the local fund definition, some people, the source of the funding has to be local. It cannot be federal. I know a lot of communities got the NEU money and are using that for the payment of consultants and engineers. That originated by the federal government. So that would have to be, the federal procurement guidelines would have to be followed in this instance. But if you have local funds from any type of taxes or fees or whatever, you can use that and you don't have to follow this. Also, I want to make sure that you understand that you need to keep all of your documentation for your procurement, because when we do come to monitor, we will be looking at what you have. So if you are, especially if you're using federal funds, we're going to ask you to see the solicitation. We're going to ask you to see any of the newspaper articles or the newspaper that it was sent in to. We're going to ask for at least the receipt, or not the receipt, the sent emails that you direct solicited the proposal to several firms or whatever. Or also, you can also do a screenshot of your Facebook page. Our office can assist with the publication of the RFPs and RFQs on our website. We have a section that we can post your information on. Denise, am I forgetting anything?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I see that we have some people in the chat with some questions, so I'm gonna, let's see. Oh, and we also have a Facebook page, and we post a lot of stuff on our Facebook page. So if you have any questions, please, reach out to us. You can look at our Facebook page. It's got a wealth of information on it. And like Denise said, we are here to help you. Okay, so one of the questions is, a copy of the presentation going to be available? Yes, we will put it on our website today. I see that Heather had already answered that. And there are no other questions. Does anybody have a question? I mean, I guess Denise and I are just that good. Well, if you are, if you do need it, if you think about it later in the day or whatever, you can feel free to reach out to us. Like you said, we are here to help you. We do not want to deter you from doing any of this. I know, Heather, it is a bit overwhelming. We deal with it every single day, so we understand. But that's why we're here. Denise, William, and I are here to walk you, handhold you through the entire process. The song from, and I know this is cheesy, but the song from Michael Jackson, "You Are Not Alone." You are not alone. We are here to help you. Please reach out to us, because we will even assist you with the writing. You can submit us the RFP or RFQ, and we'll review it, and we will get back to you, and we will make changes and do track changes. So you don't have to do this and come up with this alone. So just let us know how we can help you, because we are here for you. So I guess if that is it, I hope everyone has a great day, and start working on your RFPs and RFQs if you plan on submitting an application for the 23 the street program. It'll be November 21st. We'll be here before you know it. So anyway, well, I hope you all have a great day. Bye.